let's talk about what spirituality is. It is as broad as whatever your own perspective is about life, yourself, and how the world works. It's your inner conviction. So that means that your spirituality can be you believe that there's a God in the sky that looks down and hovers and kind of pulls puppet strings, makes it rain, makes it snow, makes all these things happen, tests you, and all of that. That could be your spirituality. Your spirituality can include your prayer process, whether or not you take the time to pray. If you do, how you pray, that would fall under your spirituality. There's also this idea of a higher power. Some people believe that there is a higher power operating, but they're not necessarily going to call that power God. And some people believe that there isn't a God and there isn't a higher power. There's just life, and life has its ways and its laws, and it's all fairly either philosophical or scientifically lived. All of that falls into spirituality. So at its core, spirituality is what you really and truly believe, consciously or unconsciously, about yourself and about life. Whatever it is that you believe about yourself, consciously or unconsciously, and about life and death and everything in between, all of that falls under your spirituality. Your deepest convictions, what you're convinced about, the beliefs that you would never shake on, that you would never question, all of that falls under spirituality. So it's not really fair to say that someone's spiritual and someone's not spiritual. Everyone has some sort of belief system, and that all falls under spirituality. Wealth, on the other hand, wealth, most people think about possessions, like what you own, but it's really much broader than that. Wealth, you can have a wealth of love. You could have a wealth of ideas. You could have a wealth of possessions. So wealth in and of itself isn't exclusive to money either, but the quality of wealth is extreme abundance. So lots and lots of lots equals wealth. When I decided to have today's show about spirituality and wealth, I did want to talk about money and financial wealth. I did want to talk about particular spiritual perspectives, but I wanted to start out with what spirituality is and what wealth is so that you can start to understand why I believe that they are inextricably connected. Because if what you believe permeates everything in your life, meaning your wealth and your health and your life relationships, how your life unfolds, then it includes wealth and it has to do with everything. And wealth can't exist without spirituality, without some level of perspective. And it would be a perspective that is supportive and cultivating of wealth. See how I tie that all up together? Not bad. Anyway, this week, I really wanted to encourage everyone to first just get clear on what is your spiritual perspective, first about yourself, second about life, and third about wealth. I'm going to say that again. What is your spiritual perspective about yourself, about life, and about wealth? And the reason these three things are very important is because imagine if you were going to apply for a job and in your heart of hearts, you did not believe that you deserved the job. You didn't believe that you could get the job, that you were qualified for the job, or that you would be hired for the job. I think it's fair to say, chances are, you are less likely to get that job than someone who is going on an interview and knows that they are more than qualified for this job. And if somehow they're not qualified, they're going to learn it, that The atmosphere is ripe for them to be employed right now, that they are ready, that they are likable, that they are lovable. Now, notice all of this are beliefs. These are beliefs that this one soul could have that are drastically different than the other one. Between those two souls, who do you think is more likely to get the job? I'm going to say this one. The one who believes in themselves and believes that the circumstances are lined up for their best interest and that if that job is for them, that they're going to have it. There's nothing standing in the way between them and their job. This is one of the reasons why spirituality and psychology are so very important, that they are connected, that they understand each other, and that as living beings that we understand the spiritual as well as the psychological perspective, because they're just like so super closely intertwined. So this has everything to do with wealth when it comes to money, because if you're someone who believes that money is good and wealth is a natural outgrowth of a spiritually minded person, someone who's good and loving and kind and peaceful and harmonious, then the next likely experience for you would be financial wealth. That would be completely undermined if you believed that money was the root of all evil. If you believed um, that being wealthy was harmful to others, that being wealthy meant problems. So all of a sudden, all these beliefs play a huge role in your experiences. That's not going to be a soul who's even going to try, aim for, or expect an abundance of financial wealth in their lives. Now, I said, look at what it is that you believe about yourself, what it is you believe about life, and what you believe about wealth. The idea about life is that if you believe that life is hard, difficult, that you have to work hard for everything, and I'm not saying going 1000% in the other direction and believe that you don't have to work for anything, but maybe somewhere in between, that you work and you rest and you get compensated accordingly, that you believe that life ultimately is good and the experiences that you have in life are for your good. That type of perspective would be valuable and helpful on the path to growing, becoming wealthy. Similarly, with if you believe that you don't deserve anything, that you don't deserve good things, that your people are meant to suffer, that it is good to suffer, all of that plays a role. So do you see how spirituality and wealth are very intertwined? I really hope so, because the message that I had for you today was that I do believe that spirituality and wealth go hand in hand. And if anything, please understand that your spiritual perspective, your faith, is probably the most powerful influencing factor in the outcomes of whether or not and how much you become financially wealthy.